right? So, so that's over here too. That's so we see the world exists. Does it exist? Yeah, it exists, right? But there's another perspective that says that it doesn't. So same thing. There's a perspective that we have to do all of these. There's all this differentiation. There's a perspective where it's completely unified. Okay, let's continue. V'lechein, therefore, Nikra hu yisborach b'chol divrei Rabbeinu zal b'shem HaKadosh Baruch Hu. I skipped the paragraph, sorry. U'bereishis Rabbah Parashat Dalet Omru. In the Medrash, there's a similar idea is expressed. It says, K'shehu roitze, when Hashem wants, haloya shamayim v'esaoretz ani molei. When Hashem wants, it's the heavens and the earth I fill completely. Ukeshehu roitza, or when he wants, hoyo medaber and Moshe miben shnei badei ha'aron. But when he wants, he spoke from Moshe between the two staves of the Aron. Right? So meaning, so Hashem's voice was coming from a particular, geographic location, from the Aron Kodesh, right? But what do you mean? How could Hashem speak from a particular place? Doesn't he fill the entire, right? So, again, so these are the paradox. He fills the whole world, but he could pinpoint a location. And it continues, and I'm not sure who's the speaker over here, Chanina ben Eliezer, I don't know. Pa'amim she'ein ha'olam umlo'oi machazikim kvoid elokusoi. Sometimes Hashem, sometimes the universe and everything that fills is not capable of holding his honor, of Hashem's honor. And there are times and there are times when Hashem speaks to a person from between the two hairs on his head. Right? This is a reference to Eov. By Eov, it says, and Hashem spoke to him misa'ara. So generally we translate Sara as like a hurricane.
Okay.
Sar is like a wind, but that type of wind is usually spelled with a samach. Over there, it's spelled with a sin. So we darshan different things. This medrash is darshaning that, like Hashem spoke to Eov from between his hairs, because the Gemara Baba Basra says that maybe Eov was complaining that, like, why is he getting all these troubles, right? So Eov said maybe Hashem made a mistake, because if you change the letter from Yud to Yud and Vov, you change them places, Eov becomes Oyev, which means an enemy. So Eov said, Hashem, maybe you got me mixed up with a different guy. So Hashem spoke to him. So after Hashem spoke to him from the hairs of his head, and he says basically, just like I don't get mixed up between two hairs, I don't, something like that. That's what the Gemara says. Whatever the Gemara's message is, but that's what this Medrash is saying, according to Nefesh Hachaim, is that sometimes the entire world cannot contain His holiness, and sometimes He can what's the word? Not solidify, but constrict or concentrate His holiness in one, molecule between the two hairs.
In the same way, Eretz Yisrael has more.
Right, he's good. He's going to talk about that also. V'chein hu b'shmois Rabbah, and he brings another medrash. Romzu gam kein le'elu beisa bechinas k'mavor le'meivin. Okay, he brings the same Eov story. Okay, and the same talks about that. I think he's talking about the Shmois Rabbah is referring to that Hashem spoke to Moshe from the burning bush. Again, it represents some lowly place. So if Hashem wants to speak to there, He wants to. There's no difference between this place and Har Sinai or a lowly bush or B'Kodesh HaKadoshim or the whole world. There's no difference if He wants to reveal that aspect. V'lechein, therefore, Nikra hu yisborach b'chol divrei Rabbeinu zal b'shem HaKadosh Baruch Hu. This is why we always refer to Hashem as HaKadosh Baruch Hu, right? So again, we usually say it without thinking, but really, there's two aspects that are being illustrated with that reference. Because they incorporated with this holy reference title both of these elements together. Why? Ki kodosh perusha muvdul v'nala. Holy, what does the word holy means? Means removed and exalted. Kodesh means removed and exalted. V'hu kefi asher mitzidoi is baruch. So when we're calling Hashem Kodesh, we're referring to this aspect that He is completely removed from anything, and therefore there's no existence. He's removed from the existence to such a degree that there is no existence. Shehu be'emes mufresh muvdol, he is completely separated and removed, and so elevated, mikol inyane hachilukim v'shinuyim chalila, from all aspect of division and change. Rak hakol molei achdus gomor, everything is filled by complete oneness. Levad, complete b'ashvo gemura, in total unity, total equality. And he's really above any kind of blessing or praise. Okay? And he does not need any blessing. Right? He does blessing, again, like we discussed in the Shar Beis. Blessing means increase of goodness, right? It's spilling over into some other boundary. Like that terminology does not apply to the oneness of Hashem. Okay. וגם לא שייך כלל לפי זויסה בחינה שום עניין תוספת וריבוי ברכה. So it's not shaykh at all. It's not applicable at all. The idea of tosefes, of addition or increasing of bracha, kivan shakol achdus poshet, because everything is total oneness. Levad mikakoydim abriya, as before the creation. Kamashikosov ve'elmiti dabuni ve'eshve yoymar kodesh. To whom you will compare me, right? To who will you equate me? Says the Holy One. Again, over here it's beautiful because it's using the same exact word, kadosh, right? The word kadosh is a reference to who can you compare me, who can you equate me with, right? Shazam hakosuv nemar al atzmus achdus yisborach, because that pasuk is referring to the etzem oneness of Hashem. Kiyadua, as is known, b'ray mehemna v'tikunim from the Zohar. So that's the part of HaKadosh. And the word HaKadosh Baruch Hu, the HaKadosh part is referring to Hashem in his aspect of complete oneness and indifferentiation. But from our perspective, Metzius HaKoichis V'Olam is from existence of various powers and various forces and various worlds, who Nikra Baruch. We call him Baruch Hu, blessed be He. Right, kaviyachol mitzad his chabruso yisborach aleim, in reference to his attachment to these worlds, right? And like we said before, he fills them with their lives, with their sustenance. Ki hema tzrichim linyan tosefos, because the world needs continuous infuse of that additional shefa, of additional bracha from Hakadosh Baruch Hu, ribu bracha v'shefa. Al yidei maaseh ha'odam eretzuim. How is this done? Through the actions of men that are ritzuim, that are appealing to Hashem. As I read before, as I wrote before in Shar Beis. V'zeu HaKadosh Baruch Hu, that's what we mean really when we say HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Ratzuloymar shehu mitzido yizborach Kadosh. From his perspective, he is Kadosh, in total one. V'hu hu atzma nikra Baruch, and he himself, that same Kadosh, is also called Baruch kaviyachol mitzideinu. From our perspective, he is Baruch. He is the one that spills out into our world and fills it with life. V'hakoil echad, but really it's all one. Right? V'alzoyse bechina shmitzideinu hu sheneamra mikrois el elyon yoshu b'shamayim v'har b'kyoytze. So from all the other names, all the other reference to Hashem from our perspective that we call, he is the El Elyon, he is the God above all other gods, or Yoshu B'Shemaim, or he sits in the heavens. That's all from our perspective, that where Hashem is above the world. He is kind of the God on top and looking over and seeing, making sure that everything runs smoothly. Right? Okay, so that's Perek Hey. Again, I just like to start a few lines of the next chapter just to get the flow going. V'hine kol yisoidei Torah kadosha, and behold, all of the foundations of our holy Torah, b'chol ha'azhoris v'mitzvos kulam, and all of the negative commandments and positive commandments, asay v'lois asay, kulam holchim al pi zoisa bechina, they all follow according to this understanding. Shemitzad asagaseinu, that from our perspective, shevadai yesh chiluk v'shinui mekoimes, there is definitely differentiation of places. Sheba mekoimes atahorim matorim, there are places that are pure and we are allowed, v'gam chayovim, also obligated, and achnu ledaber, to speak, or leharher, or to think divrei Torah, in the words of Torah, u'b'mekoymes ha'metunofim, and our unclean places, ne'asarnu b'hem af ha'hirhur b'divrei Torah, we are forbidden even to think in the words of Torah. V'chein kol inyonei v'sidrei chiyuv ha'gaseinu, and if you think, extrapolate all of our behaviors and actions, shenitztavinu, that we were commanded mipiv b'Torah Kadosh, from Hashem's mouth through His Torah, u'bilti zoisa b'china mishmitzidein, and without this aspect of existence, which is from our eyes, ein mokum l'Torah mitzvahs klal. There is really no place for Torah and mitzvahs at all. Okay, I guess that doesn't really help us to stop here, but so that's the idea. The idea is that all of our mitzvahs presume a lack of godliness, and our actions reveal godliness, even though in reality it's all godliness. Right? So, and the way I see it, again, we'll see there. I'm not sure. As I was looking forward, I'm not sure. It's going to be complicated to really like pinpoint to what he's saying, but the way I see it, our mitzvahs are like little portals into the existence from his perspective. Right?
Okay.
So meaning, so our job is to connect, is to maybe to, what's the word? There's a division of our world outside of him, right? And there's the other perspective, a world that's completely filled with him. Mm-hmm. So our job in our avoida is to narrow that, right? To that's what it seems. But to what degree is going to be interesting, because again, it would make it complicated, because then because if he's saying what he's saying now is that from that perspective there is really no place for mitzvahs. From Hashem's perspective, there is no point for Torah and mitzvahs. They don't exist. Right? It doesn't apply. There's no way to increase holiness, right? So every time you perform the mitzvah to catapult yourself into that existence, you're basically undoing what you did, because, right? Because it doesn't apply over there. So, I mean, it's going to be a paradox whether we like it or not. We're going to end up with it. Well, we're going to end off with the paradox anyways. So.